Founders Floor, a co-working accelerator for startups.
So my approach to investing relies on, I look for 5 criteria when I'm kind of evaluating a startup.
Procopia Law, the recommended law firm of Founders Floor.
Right, so the 5 things that I'm looking for, and these are all listed on my website. So if you just go to k9ventures.com, you will see all of them listed directly over there. The first thing I look for is technical teams, meaning I want a team that is capable of building its own product, right? And when I say that, the quip that I use is that typically I want people who are walking out of computer science and EE, and if it's people who are working out of a business school but don't have a technical background and they're like, oh, we're going to hire a team to build a product, I'm not taking that meeting, okay? And I also want that somebody on that team to actually have both the ability and the desire to be the CEO. Right, so that's criteria number 1. Criteria number 2 is I'm looking for the company to be doing something novel. Novelty comes in a couple of different forms. The first form of novelty and the most common form of novelty is new technology. Right, that we have new science, new technology. That's what gives us our competitive advantage. Right, so that's the first type of thing I'll look for. The second type of thing I'll look for is new market, and so I gave the example of Lyft and Carta. So Carta is a company that I actually co-founded in 2012. I co-founded this company because the first investment I made in 2009, I ended up holding a paper stock certificate, and I'm like, what do I do with this? And every other investor I would talk to, they would tell me that, we give it to our CFO, and our CFO goes and puts it in a safe deposit box in a bank. Okay, I'm like, first, I don't have a CFO. 2, I don't have a safe deposit box. What do I do with my stock certificate? So that was what got me thinking about this is a white space problem that nobody is solving this problem, and that's kind of what got me to co-found Carta. Carta today is over 450 people and growing like crazy. But that's a new market company, right? So that was a market that nobody was solving the problem in that market. We identified that market, and we built a company in that market, right? The third form of novelty in a company is a new business model. That is something that happens so infrequently that I don't even look for those anymore, okay? But I can give you some examples. So if you look at Priceline, if you remember Priceline from back in the day, that was a new business model, right? A lot of the solar companies like Solar City and Sunrun, they're less about solar and more about finance. They essentially will come in and install solar panels on your roof, and then it's a payment plan structure. So their business model was really more of a financing model as opposed to a solar model. So those are the companies I would put into the category of new business model, but those are far and few. So just to recap, so the 2 things I look for: new technology, new market. Okay. Third criteria for me is I want companies that are generating direct revenue. So direct revenue means you deliver value to me, I pay you. Okay. No 3-way business model. So a 3-way business model is Google, Facebook, Twitter. All of those are 3-way business models, right? So in the case of Google, all of us use Google for free. Some third party is paying Google hundreds of billions of dollars in order to get access to our attention. Okay, that's not a business model that I want, right? I want a direct revenue business model. And my reason for this is that at the stage at which I'm investing in 2 people, I have no idea that they're going to become the next Google or the next Facebook type of a company. Okay. Fourth thing that I look for is I want to be first money in. So literally, if there's nobody else is invested in the company, that's great. If it's only the founders themselves or friends and family, that's okay. But if you've already raised money from another fund, that's probably not the right fit for me. And lastly, I only invest in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I want the founding teams to be based over here. I want the company to be built over here. So, okay.
You were
Tough criteria to meet.
Yes, so the comment is tough criteria to meet, and that is by design. right? So it's by design. And the reason why I even publish my criteria on the website is because I want people to go there and self-select, right? There's no point in somebody emailing me when I know that these are my criteria, right? So if you meet all 5 of these, then I'll take a look at the pitch deck. If you don't meet all 5 of these, then there's no point in wasting time. So.
One of the things you mentioned was technically led teams. You know, of course, you know, we love technically led teams here as well. And someone, you know, has to go and move into that CEO role, grow into that role. You know, sometimes it's that individual that's, you know, can speak the geek and have the gift of gab, which is a rare quality for both. But how do you have those conversations where you're just not for sure, you know, if this person can make that leap, you know?
I mean, that's a very common problem. I mean, at the stage at which I'm investing, it's 2 people. It's typically first-time founders. How do you know that this person is actually going to become a great CEO? Like, you honestly don't. That just comes down to a gut call. It's literally like, do I feel like this person has the desire, the ability, the commitment, the flexibility in order to actually learn quickly and adapt quickly? There's no formula for that. It just comes down to a gut call that I'm making. I work with a lot of founders who essentially, I've seen them evolve over the years. I mean, so everybody talks about like Lyft is one of my portfolio companies, right? So I met Logan and John when it was literally the 2 of them and 1 part-time developer, right? And they had just moved here from Santa Barbara, and they were trying to build essentially carpooling for universities to use. That's the stage at which I met Logan and John, right? I wanted to invest in them. We didn't come to agreement on terms initially. And I just told them, look, like, I like you guys, just stay in touch. Like, if there's anything I can help with, let me know. And they took me up on it. Like, every once in a while I'd hear from them with some particular problem they were facing, and I would help them with it. And I ended up investing in the company a year later. So I effectively took a year to get to know Logan and John before I did the investment. And it was great because like a year in, I had a much better idea of who they were as people, and I knew what drove them. And I could kind of see like what's the conviction that they have around like just reimagining transportation, right? And the most rewarding part of Lyft to me is actually seeing the evolution of Logan and John as founders and as leaders of that company. Like that is it's unbelievable to see. So.
And to your point, connecting the dots over time too. It took you a long time to kind of come to the resolution,
Correct.
you know,
Right.
and that was helpful to be able to be touching a base every once in a while, you know, and watching their evolution.